another story for you. I was 6 years old. No, I don't want to tell that story. That sucks. As I've been doing magic, I've traveled. I've traveled all over the place. I've been all over the world. Bridgeport, Stanford, Hartford, Darien. No, for real. I used to do stage shows all over the country, and I was down in Florida one time, and Florida is known for two things. Hot weather and shitty drivers. Who said it? Old people? I thought I heard that. But it's also known for something else. A place where people travel. They see it advertised all over the place. It's a global phenomenon. People go from all over the world to travel to Orlando to visit this place. It's a hot commodity. One of the greatest places in the world. Brings cultures together. The Daytona 500. And then up the street's Disney. And I can't afford Disney. But the one time I did go to Disney, there was a magic shop in Disney. It's actually in the Magic Castle, and people don't realize that because you don't look for it. It's not something where it's advertised. It's actually part of a special club called the Get the Hell Out of the Line Club. And when I walked into this magic shop, this place is tiny. I mean, we're talking like maybe this line to this wall. Tiny. And there was a room, a very, very small, like closet-like room in the back of this little place. And it was for people who would drop off magic tricks, and they would leave them sitting there if they couldn't figure out what it did or if they didn't think it would sell. I used to work at Phantasma Magic in New York City. We had a whole stockpile full of shit. And I took a lot of it home, by the way. Well, there was this one thing that I saw in the small magic shop that really caught my attention. And I asked the guy who ran the shop, I was like, what does this do? He's like, we really don't know. He's like, there's a weird story behind it, but I don't really know what it does. I'm like, tell me the story. And if it's interesting enough, I'll buy the trick. And he proceeds to tell me a story about the 1964 World's Fair. Anybody ever go to the World's Fair?
I went there.
Okay. Who was the mastermind behind it? Some asshole from New York. Robert Moses. Thank you, because I forgot. Who was his partner? Walt Disney. Walt Disney designed Epcot around the 1964 World's Fair. Fun fact. And while he was designing Epcot, he needed to hire people who knew a thing or two about things that happen around the world. So he brought a guy in whose sole job was to research music. And that's what he did. And he wrote a book. Not really write a book, but he drew a book called Music and Magic. And as you can tell, it's a thick freaking book. It's kind of heavy. And I'm not going to go through all like 800 pages, but I'm going to show you a couple of pages. Now, instead of writing things down about what he would see when he traveled the world, he decided that because Disney was a very artistic person, he would draw the pictures of what he saw and then tell them stories about where he was. So like, for example, we'll just go through a few of them. We've got a set of bongos right here. You know, perhaps he went to a place where they did drum circles, or maybe it was a cultural thing where they would play bongos. Or maybe he saw an old classical band where they had a percussion section. There were bongos there. Turn the page and there's a drum set. Very common in today's culture and classic culture. There's a chance he might have gone to Europe or Australia or maybe somewhere here in the United States where they would play drums. There's a saxophone. Perhaps he went down south to New Orleans, as they call it. Maybe he saw a jazz group or a classical woodwind group out in Europe or something. And there was a guitar. And I play guitar, and I can tell you, actually, I'm going to go right back. I can tell you right now that is a classical Spanish guitar, just judging by the headstock and the body style. Maybe he went to Spain or Europe or South America, Argentina, Central America, Brazil, where they would play instruments like that. And as you could imagine, Disney was like enthralled, so they kept the book, and now I have it. So I need somebody to help out. I don't need you to come up. I just need I just need an answer. So who would like to? How about you with the plaid scarf on? What's your name?
Maureen.
Maureen. Okay. She wanted to say Marianne. Maureen, if you had to choose an instrument that we just looked at, which instrument do you like?
The guitar.
You like the guitar? Okay, can we use the guitar? Is that fair? And you could have picked anything, we'll use the guitar. Now, the interesting thing about this book is when I got it, there's actually a part of the story I left out. It's the fact of I lifted it up, blew all the dust off of it, and a note fell out of the cover. The note is what made me buy the book, not the story that the magician told me. The note said, if you believe in something and you manifest it, which means you write it down, and you believe wholeheartedly that you can make whatever you wrote down happen, you'll eventually be able to pull whatever you wrote down right out. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,